The inner child wants to be heard. So where does inner child where does inner child comes from to start with? Inner child has to do with a trauma, an incident in the past where the child was not able to cope with the situation mentally or emotionally, where the child did not have the resources needed to deal with the trauma, to digest the trauma, to go through the trauma. And that aspect of the personality then stays dormant or doesn't grow at the same pace as the rest of you. So that aspect of me is stuck somewhere in the past. And once we identify the pattern, we can go back to the source of the pattern. And once we deal with that source of the pattern, there could be even something behind it. So you keep on going backwards until the earliest memory of that pattern, which most likely would be a trauma itself. Sometimes children, when they don't know how to deal with a situation, they don't know how to express it. They either don't have the words to express or the mental and emotional resource to express, or they're afraid of the consequences for themselves or for the people involved in the trauma. They don't know what would be the effect of expressing what they saw, what they heard, what they felt on themselves and the people they want to discuss involved. So that inner child attracts situation where I, the grown-up, could fulfill the need of the inner child. In this case, the inner child wants to be heard. Now, it is not uncommon for grown-ups to deal with the current situation, what is at hand. But that still doesn't satisfy the inner child because it's the inner child that wants to be heard. The inner child could be screaming inside and then it presents itself in a screaming manner for the adult. And then we're trying to deal with or dampen the situation, the embarrassment, the anger, the outburst, whatever it is. I am the one who has to sit with my inner child and hear my inner child out without judgment. Each child wants to feel they have something to share and that someone is hearing them out. It reminds me that how Baba would ask very simple questions. Kab aaya? Kab jata? Kitna log? When did you come? When are you leaving? How many people? What is your name? What do you do? Such basic questions that everybody will be able to answer the questions, even if it is slightly incomplete. So what happened in that interaction, they felt that Baba heard them. You felt heard. There was an interaction. And all that was needed was that interaction, that validation, that exchange, which satisfies both the adult and the inner child. What can we do with our children or children that we have influence with playing games like charades or Pictionary or other games where they're able to express through art, through words, through acting of some sort, through games is very important. Cooperative games, not as much as competitive games. Competitive games are fine too, as long as each person has a turn, even if it is a game of chance. I remember doing this activity for the Bal Vikas kids, where anybody could start a story about anything. It's all fiction. Somebody will start, once upon a time, and then somebody will take it. There were two people, and then third person could say, the first person was wearing a red hat. Simple like that. And each person continues and develops a story. It is always interesting and funny. And everybody gets a chance to express themselves, add their 2 cents to it. And everybody feels they were heard. And they were heard also. Not only they felt they were heard, because if you were not heard, how would somebody else be able to build upon the story that you just said? Sitting in a circle around a campfire or just snuggling in a blanket and just telling bedtime stories. Simple things. Everybody gets a chance to say what happened during the day or just share stories. Everybody wants to be heard. But me as a grown-up, it is my job now to hear my inner child. Maybe an incident happened, a difficult one, a traumatic incident where I was afraid, where I did not know what was going on, or I knew what was going on, but I did not know how to say it, where I did not even know if I would be heard, let alone understood. So now it is my job as an adult to sit with that inner child and hear the inner child out. Go back to that memory and just sit with your inner child and hear your inner child out. When I'm doing that, what am I telling myself? What am I telling my inner child? I'm telling my inner child, I love you and I love me. And nothing can replace that. Absolutely nothing. No one hearing me out. My inner child wants to be heard by myself. I need to pay attention to my inner child. Sit with it and simply hear my inner child out without judgment, without having to change a situation, without having to correct it, without having to fix it. Just hear him out or her out.